When I was younger and less seasoned like chicken from a peasant in the 1800s, I was going on a camping trip with my father. Now, my father, abusive, alcoholic, drunk that he was, enjoyed the aspect of hunting. It was one of the favorite things that we bonded over. He enjoyed taking the lives of something from because he couldn't take the life from my mother because he was very abusive. Domestic violence 101. One thing he enjoyed. My brother was super excited. He was thinking he was going to go fishing with my father. He was going to wrestle some alligators. He was going to get some tuna in his mouth. Oh, little did we know that it was going to be a tragic and desperately horrifying adventure. We drove all the way out in Bumhell, Ohio, just some random spot where he had a camping lodge. Did we know he had a camping lodge? No, and neither did my mother. She was very concerned and confused why he had this camping lodge. He said, and I quote, "You know why I have this camping lodge," insinuating the fact that he may be a little bit infidelis. But we're not going to talk about that right now. Let's talk about the trip. So, we're in a big, gigantic RV. Super excited, very comfortable, could easily fit a family of 6, maybe even 4, sometimes 2, depending on the day. And I, naturally, was super excited. I was thinking I'm going to have marshmallows and hot dogs and weenies in my mouth. Just things that was going to make me feel like a real person. I thought to myself, wow, this is going to be great. I can't wait to enjoy time with my father. My one and only, the only father that I have. Unless he ends up dating a man, then I'd have 2 fathers. That would actually be pretty sick. Well, my parents got divorced, and technically I had 2 fathers. I had a stepdad, technically, but that man was evil. He sucked. I didn't like him at all. He was a horrible person. I don't like any stepfather. He may have been a dad to step up, but he needed to step down. I didn't enjoy him. But outside the fact of my obvious hatred for that evil man, we arrive at the campsite. I look around, and I see our camping lodge area. It's beautiful. We're next to a bevy of trees. There's one tree that is having lavender, lilac, a purple hue throughout the air. I feel the coalescence of nature, and then immediately beats right to my neck a mosquito. I know at this exact moment that I hate nature. I think nature is against me and against the essence of me being a young black male. A black male with exaggerated swagger of a black teen. I felt that in my soul. My brother exited out and he says, "I'm gonna go look for firewood." We spent 3 hours of our 3-day trip looking for firewood, all to come back, and my dad went to the camping lodge area to buy a rack of fire logs. I didn't know you could do that. No one told me you could just buy wood. Feels a bit ridiculous to buy wood, but people cut it a specific way. Didn't know you could do that. That was information to me. So I look at my father and I say, "Father, you bought wood?" He said, "Yeah, I did." And he tossed it at me. He said, "Catch." With the force of God and Zeus Almighty, he cracked me so hard in the chest, I felt I released a noise. He said, "Why you make that girly little noise?" And I said, "I'm a little bit of a girl myself, Father." And he said, "You take it up there?" I said, "What?" I was confused. We had an awkward silence between us for about 45 seconds. I think about that a lot. And so, I say, "All right, well, let's set up our tent." It's about 6 o'clock. It's getting close to the nighttime. And he says, "All right, let's do it." So, I set up my tent very horribly. My tent is set up bad. I put it on a very bad plot of land. And I'm confused. I see my tent set up, and I'm confused where my father's tent is. I said, "Dad, where's the tent?" He looks at me and unleashes a very disgusting chortle. Look at me in the eyes, unnerving me, and he said, I'm confused. I'm concerned. I don't know what's going on. He said, "I'm going to wait in the car. Enjoy the fire tonight." So I say, "Huh?" He goes in the car. He has a TV inside of the RV, and he puts on Die Hard 1 through 3, and I can hear it. I can hear the essence of Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. Jackie! I can hear it. I can hear me not enjoying that movie. I can hear him having a good time laughing with my mother. And then 3 hours pass, and my mother comes outside and sets up her own tent. I'm a little bit confused. Maybe they're having an argument. This is a precursor to divorce, by the way. I know that they're having a spat and an issue. My little boy brain doesn't want to think about that. I want to imagine my parents together forever, them never getting old, and never understanding that they're going to get old one day, and they're going to get older and weaker as I get stronger. And watching the people that you loved and raised you get weaker is a new fear that I have now. I never thought about that ever all. I just didn't really think about that. And then I go out to make some marshmallows. And I accidentally put the marshmallow too far to the left, thus catching the tent on fire. I say, "Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no." And my brother's still in the tent. I try to wake him up. He says, "Huh? What's going on?" I say, "CJ, get up." He says, "What?" And the fire ends up hitting his shirt. He freaks out. Tosses the shirt to the ground. I say, "You good?" He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm hungry. I just wanted some gelatinous marshmallows in my tum-tum." He said, "You gotta chill out." He's spatting curse words at me, anger, vitriol through his face, but thankfully my mother set up her tent, and we got to sleep with my mother that night. It had been so long since I slept next to my mother. It had been so long since I had that maternal love in my life, and she just needed somebody there for her, and she was deeply upset because of the anger and arguments that she had with my father. And I said, "Mother, I burned down our tent." She said, "Boy, you stupid," and she smacked me in the back of the head. Child abuse 101. We love to see it. And I said, "May I please stay in here tonight?" And she was more than happy to have me inside of the bedroom. More so tent. And as the mosquitoes were humming around and the fireflies were going around and the smell of a burnt tent and candlewood and all this going throughout the entire essence, you could hear Rush Hour 2 playing, and you could hear the scenes of Chris Tucker being funny and Jackie Chan being Asian, because that's funny to some people. I felt a kinship to the nature outside. I felt a essence throughout my entire body. It hurt. It hurt me deeply to discover that my father didn't care about us at all. He didn't care about the woman he had married. He didn't care about his sons that he had brought out. And I now understand why a lot of his children didn't talk to him. It messed me up deeply. I woke up the next morning and decided to go fishing. I said to myself, well, I guess I better go fishing. So I go ahead and grab my own fishing line and toss it out to the reels. And I want to point something out. I had no bait. So an old man approached me and said, "Boy, you ain't got no bait. Let me help you out here." Out of his pocket, as if he had trail mix in there, or perhaps there's some echo chamber within his pocket, he pulled out 4 worms and he said, "Go ahead and touch these little wrigglies." I said, "Where are these?" He said, "Night crawlers. You can catch a fish with those." This man was more of a father to me than my own father. I was very happy about that. I put them on the line and boom, I trod along the fish. And I got 1 fish. And I said, "Can I keep this?" He said, "No, it's against the policy of the camp to keep the fish. You got to toss it back out." And I said, "Oh, this is weird policy." He said, "Unless you got a gold membership card." "You got a gold membership card?" I said, "I don't have a gold membership card to the campground. I didn't know that was a thing." He said, "Oh, well, toss it back." And I tossed it back, and he grabbed it out of the air, and he said, "This is mine. I got a gold membership." And he put it in his thing. And I said, "He's just like my father. Horribly selfish." And I think I longed for that. Somebody close to my father, but not actually my father. So we talked, and we had a great time. And it was amazing. And my dad woke up, and he made an amazing spread. Oh, it was pancakes, bacon, sausages. And I said, "Oh, boy." He said, "It's mine. You got to find your own food." I said, "Oh, 7 pancakes, 2 packs of bacon, 4 sausages, and a whole thing of orange juice is yours?" He said, "Yep." I said, "Okay, my bad. I apologize. That's on me. I should have known better. My bad. That's on me. Obviously my fault. I should have thought to myself, why would I even consider that? That's on me." And then he said, "Now, my boy, I'm going to teach you something very important." And I said, "Okay." He said, "We're going to do some Greco-Roman out here." I don't know what Greco-Roman is. I had no idea what that was. My father loves the aspect of men being men. He loves manliness. He likes boys being boys, guys being guys, dudes being dudes, 6 feet apart in the hot tub so they're not gay. That's really what he appreciates. He enjoys that so much. So we Greco-Roman wrestle in the forest, and it was the most close I've ever felt to my father at that current time. It was amazing. Him tossing me to the ground, him having a good time, him laughing maniacally, me having a near asthma attack because my bronchial tubes were getting filled with phlegm, and I am suffering, but I didn't want to lose the moment or ruin his fun. So I just suffered through it, wheezing and coughing and graining through, throwing up in the middle of the nature reserve. I just felt good. I just felt good that my father was actually giving me physical affection in some aspect, even if it was torturous. It was amazing. Loved every second of it. Me and my brother ended up walking around the forest, going through the trail, going on a 12-mile hike. It was fun. We enjoyed it. We encountered a bunch of people, watching other families to and fro, going through, realizing that we didn't have that connection with our family. And one guy actively was walking by himself, and we walked with him for a little bit, and we told him about the hood and the horrifying nature of Detroit, Michigan, and how horrible Toledo, Ohio was. And he said, "That sounds horrible, man. I hate to hear that." And I told him about what I was doing with my narcotics deals and everything. He said, "You're a little bit too young for that." And I said, "Yeah, great, isn't it?" He said, I think you need better role models." I think about that guy often. I think about him a lot. I wonder where he's at. Next day after that, my mother completely disappeared. Don't know where she went. No clue. Didn't see her the entire day. I was concerned by that. I thought my father had finally done the task or the deed. Turns out, she didn't do that. She actually went to a bar and walked there. She just didn't want to be around my father. My dad set up an entire pool table, a portable pool table, and played pool by himself, trying to teach me how to play pool. I was very bad at it. I ended up ripping up the green part of the portable pool table, and he beat me within an inch of my life. It was horrifying. I loved every second of it because that was still physical affection. Loved to see it. Loved every second of it. Great time in my childhood. Loved every second of it. Final day rolls around. We set up my mom's tent, and he finally asked who burned down the tent. I said I did. And he reeled back all the way to the back at the beginning of the camping trip. He put that punch back in time, and I got hit with such force, so much anger inside of that thing because that camping tent cost him $72, he said. It was a premier camping tent. I shouldn't have burned it down. I could feel as it go through the air. I could feel the force. I could feel the anger going through his body, and my stomach began to feel ruptured. I went to the ground, and I coughed up a copious amounts of phlegm from my stomach. His punch had gotten most of the asthma from my bronchial tubes. I felt that deeply within my soul. And I said, "Okay, Pops, thank you." We get in the car, we drive back, and I'll never forget that camping trip with my dad and my brother and my mother. I'll never forget that camping trip.